Velkommen alle sammen. Some very bad, unfortunate news in the past couple of weeks in terms to our religion, so I had to just make a quick video about it here to clear up some of the lies about the Old Norse beliefs and how it's being portrayed in the media and human sacrifice. So, the murders at Delphi, not Delphi, ancient Greece, which is an ancient sacred temple where I was last month. Video coming later this week on that actually, so check back in. No, I'm talking about Delphi, Indiana. So I'm talking through a couple articles here. You can read about it if you haven't heard, but back in 2017, basically 2 girls were found murdered in the woods in Delphi, Indiana. Just 13 and 14 years old, in what looked to be some sort of ritual murder with their bodies moved and decked in branches in the shape of some unspecified symbols, apparently. There were a couple of suspects, but it wasn't until 5 years later, in 2022, that a suspect was arrested. The trial is pending, so I'm not going to say anything about that. It is some very strange circumstances, though, and a weird investigation and trial. All I can say is, in any free country, we should always say innocent until proven guilty, and I hope the right people get justice. And as usual, don't make assumptions based on headlines, and that's exactly what people are doing in the world today, pretty much everywhere. Allegedly, the defense team has claimed that the murder was committed by someone else than the primary suspect, a group of Odinists, they say, who ritually sacrificed the 2 girls. The term Odinist today is usually referring to the racist far-right groups following the Old Norse religion, or so they say in the mainstream media. So first of all, there's a couple myths to debunk about all that. First of all, if there are any far-right, evil, white supremacists in our religion, I just haven't seen any. If there are, it's just such a small percentage. Again, the media will tell you something different, and the angry far-left pagans all over social media will definitely say different. They'll make it sound like those people are everywhere, but they might exist. They probably do exist, but it's such a small percentage of us in reality. That's the first lie that the media will tell you. Now to the next one. Human sacrifice. There are some religions out there in the world, I'm not going to lie, there are some religions that have a big tradition of sacrificing innocent children. The Old Norse religion is not one of them. There are other religions, though, in the world, both monotheistic and polytheistic, interestingly enough, that somehow believe in tormenting the most innocent of creatures, young children, of course, speaking about that. And a lot of these religions, they tend to come from certain places in the world. You guys can go ahead and do your own research on that. I am not opening that can of worms. So you can do your own research. It is not hard things to do, guys. It's very easy to go look up yourself. So yes, some pagan religions, and even monotheistic ones, have had a long history of sacrifice of children. The Norse is not one of them. Nowhere in any of the Norse sources from pagan times do we have evidence that an unwilling, innocent human victim was sacrificed. Now, was there human sacrifice in the Norse religion? Absolutely. We have quite a few reliable sources that there was actually human sacrifice. You can check those out in the video I did right here with all those sources. And I can tell you really briefly, just for the sake of this video, in almost every example of human sacrifice from the Norse sources, the victim of the human sacrifice would be a criminal, okay? It was a murderer or just some sort of evil man, you know, a very bad raider who went on a killing spree all across the countries of the Viking Age. When we have records of sacrifice in the Norse sources, it's usually as a punishment for those individuals, like a death sentence for them for carrying out these crimes. We did not sacrifice innocent, unwilling civilians, as allegedly was done in this case. In fact, it's even said in the saga of Olav Tryggvason, who was a Christian king in Norway, by the way. He demanded that a human sacrifice was made of not criminals or thieves like was normally the custom, but he basically demanded that there was going to be a sacrifice of high-class men, to which they declined, of course, to which the Christian king Olav killed them anyway. So even at the rare occasions that pagans did do human sacrifice, it was not innocent people that they sacrificed. It would have been criminal. We have a couple sources where a victim was ritually killed in order to accompany someone else to the afterlife who had already died. This person being sacrificed, and those sources, they did so voluntarily. Most of the time it was like a slave who loved her chieftain and wanted to accompany him to the afterlife, as Ibn Fadlan wrote, and I covered it in this video here. That may be hard for us to comprehend today, but you gotta realize they had a different view of relationships and friendships and afterlife as well. Is one of the most reliable sources that we have here, and there's archaeological evidence to back this up, that the sacrificial victims willingly went to the afterlife with their person who they were following. So there's no reason to doubt that the person did so voluntarily. We only have, finishing off the video, we only have 2 examples that I'm aware of in tens of thousands of pages of sources. 2 examples where an innocent victim may have been sacrificed involuntarily, okay? We have a couple semi-mythological, unreliable sources of a Swedish king named Odin, and he lived a few hundred years before the Viking Age, and he allegedly sacrificed 9 of his sons to Odin every 10 years so that he would live longer, and he lived to be almost 200 years old. So believe whatever you want, I'm just saying that is not a reliable source, the attestations we have of that. But either way, even if it did happen, the king was hated by his people, and it was not encouraged by our society or our religion. There's one more. It comes in another unreliable source accounting the Battle of Hjörungavåg, which was a real battle mentioned in a couple reliable sources. One part of it, though, mentioned in one of the more unreliable ones, conflicts with the reliable sources, and it's considered not reliable. But anyway, Jarl Håkon in this source was losing the battle against the Danes, and in the heat of battle, a Valkyrie-like guardian angel demanded that Håkon sacrifice one of his 2 sons in order to achieve victory and save his people. So Håkon does this, and then this battle maiden spirit appears with a storm of shooting hundreds of arrows out of her fingertips, killing the Danish army. That's it. That's the only 2 records, unreliable ones, of a king or chieftain sacrificing their own sons. The Norse religion today has never and will never condone sacrificing innocent, unwilling victims. And even if there was a human sacrifice in the rare occasions, I can promise you, everything in our religion is done with a purpose, okay? The idea of just sacrificing or obeying or worshipping one of our gods like Odin just to appease him, that does not exist in our religion. It exists in other religions, not in the Norse one. In the Norse one, everything we do, whether we know it or not, it has some sort of purpose behind it and benefit that we can all bring our people and our community. This is not a religion of just worshipping and blindly obeying a god unconditionally and not asking for anything in return. This is just not what any polytheistic religion or animistic religion has done if we go back far enough in time. And to understand that a little bit better, I recommend all of these videos. Explains our religion for maybe those of you who don't follow it in depth, or those of you who may follow it but you have no idea what the term animism is. I recommend all of these videos because this is the belief system that we all had if we go far back enough in time. But that's all for today. Hope this was informative, but that's all I can say. Vi ses nästa gång.